compositional semantics. We're going to be talking about propositions first. So whenever we say anything, whenever we make a sentence, we are proposing something, we're making a claim. So when I say the Earth is the third planet from the Sun, that's claiming some sort of fact, okay? The proposition can either be true or it can be false, and that's known as its truth value. It's true or it's false. Now, these truth values are true under certain conditions. These are known as truth conditions. Some things are pretty easy. You can just look at the grass, or you can know whether or not the Earth is the third planet from the Sun, and voila, you have your answer. However, some things, like the Queen of England is sleeping, we don't know if that's true. Its truth value is unknown until you meet the condition of looking and seeing if she's sleeping. Now, we don't have a panda cam for the Queen, so that's usually unknowable to us, way over here across the Atlantic, but we do know what the truth conditions are. Same thing, it is raining in Arizona. We can know if that's true. If there is rain falling in Arizona, then its truth condition has been met. Now, there are some things like J.K. Rowling will write 2 more Harry Potter books, and that is unknowable until something happens. Either she writes 2 more Harry Potter books, or she passes away and she's unable to write 2 more Harry Potter books. So one of those 2 things will happen, and until those truth conditions are met, it won't be true or false. We won't be able to assign its truth value. Now, all of this seems unnecessary and superfluous, but it's important to us linguistically when we start pairing them together. So when you put 2 propositions together, you start getting a relationship between them, and this is called entailment. So if I say, all dogs bark, and I say, my dog barks, that is making some sort of a relationship between the 2, where all dogs bark means that my dog is also barking. But if I say, my dog barks, that doesn't mean that all dogs are barking. Right? So there's a one-directional relationship here, so that's an example of one-directional entailment, which is the first of 4 types of entailment that we're going to go over. So that is when A is true, but B doesn't have to be true. So A entails B, but B does not entail A. Then we get to no entailment. So when you have 2 propositions and there's no relationship between the 2, you can say they express no entailment. So something like Superman is adorable and China has the most people of any country in the world. Superman being adorable and China's population have nothing to do with each other. So A and B do not entail each other. There's no relationship between them. And then we have mutual entailment. Mutual entailment is when A entails B and B entails A. So either one encompasses the other as well. And these are usually done as restating of the same fact. So I can say something like, Ian has a female sibling and Ian has a sister. So that would be the same thing essentially, and so I'm just restating a fact. So that's where A would entail B and B entails A. If I say I have a job and I'm employed, that's the same thing. I love my wife, I love Tiffany Vanderneet, that's the same thing. So they're going to entail each other. This is the most difficult kind to make. Usually that's not a perfect mutual entailment. Usually it's just a very close one-directional entailment. So watch out for that, that one can be very tricky. And then we have incompatible entailment. Now, incompatible entailment is when if A is true, B cannot be true, and if B is true, A cannot be true. Okay, this is different from no entailment where there's no effect on each other. This is where they are mutually exclusive. Only one can be true at a time. So if I say, all dogs bark, my dog doesn't bark, then those 2 things can't be true at the same time. Either all dogs are barking, including mine, or my dog's not barking. Which means that all dogs can't be barking, right? So only one can be true at a time. Another example might be, I'm the tallest person in the world, John is taller than me. Only one of those 2 things can be true at once. So what I want you guys to get from this chapter, and what I want you to prepare for the upcoming test, is I want you to understand sense and reference, those 2 things and how they're related to each other. I want you to be able to identify and produce a set of hyponyms and hypernyms, 4 deep, right? So 4 layers of the hypernym-hyponym dynamic. I want you to identify and be able to provide examples of synonyms. And remember, there are 2 varieties of synonyms, how they arise. And I want you to be able to identify and label all 4 kinds of antonyms and all 4 kinds of entailment. So you might have to produce an example or label an example that I give you But each of those has 4 subcategories, remember. And if you have any questions about any of these, you can rewatch this video, you can look at my lecture slides, you can read your chapter in your book, or you can get a hold of me through GroupMe. And we're going to be doing this for at least one more chapter, and we'll see how the semester takes us.